All right, so what I want to do with this webinar is I want to clarify the beginning steps of optimizing your website. These are steps you would do after we have already done some example optimization for you, but I want to give an introduction to what SEO means and what optimization is so that you have that good understanding, and then give you the suggestions of where you should start with it. Okay? So there is a lot to this, and so don't feel bad if you feel a little overwhelmed, if you need to watch this over and over a few times. That's to be expected. It took me quite a bit of time to wrap my head around this many years ago when I started learning these things. It's a complicated thing. And so that's to be expected. You should feel a little bit of overwhelm because there's so much to it. So with that being said, let's dive in and talk a little bit about it. So first, let's define some terminology. SEO. Okay, that's a term that you'll hear a lot. SEO means search engine optimization. Okay, S for search, E for engine, O for optimization. So what we are doing with SEO work is we are optimizing our pages, our content for the search engines so that they like what they see and will therefore rank our company. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Now, I'm going to jump into a little bit of a tangent here just to show you some of the rankings that I have, just to give you an example and understanding. If we look at StatCounter.com here, which is a tool that I like to use for looking at my statistics and what's happening. So if we look at my ViperSharp.com, this is my baby, my main site that I focus on here. So this gives me an overview of my traffic, and so I've been working on this site for about 3 years. So it's been a little bit of time getting it built to this point, but and what I see on average right now is around 90 to 100 visitors a day. And so we're not going to talk about the statistics a lot in this webinar today, but just quickly here, looking at these colors over here, it shows us what this means. So green is the number of pages that were viewed, page views. Blue is the unique visits or unique individual visitors, different visitors that have come to the site. And then orange is returning visits, meaning they've been there before and they've come back. Okay. And so what you would want to see on your site might be somewhat different. Maybe you want more returning visitors. Maybe you will put blog content out there that you want people to come and see every day or something. Maybe that's the way you'll interact. Or maybe it'll be a more traditional e-commerce where, hey, you want somebody to come in, you want a lot of new visitors every day, and we want them to look through a good number of pages and then, of course, end up buying something when they leave the site, right? So there are different goals for different websites, and so keep that in mind. It's a little bit varied what we want to see. But generally speaking, for a e-commerce site, we want to see something somewhat like this. If we have a product to sell, returning visitors are always good. We want to see some of that, but we want to see a good number of unique visits to the site each day. And we want to see the page views generally about 3 times the amount of visitors or better, okay? And so as we look at these numbers, you can see I'm not doing too bad. I'm doing pretty good. Here we've got 104 visits, 353 page views. So that's definitely over 3 times the number of visitors, right? And each day, as we look at this, I'm fairly consistent with that. So what that means is when they're coming to my site, they're not just hitting one page and bouncing. That's what we call bouncing, when they hit one page and they just leave from that page and don't go any deeper in the site. My visitors are looking through the pages. They're hitting whatever page they come in on, and then they're looking at some of the other pages. And that's generally considered a good thing, because they're either looking at other products you have, or they're coming to the home page and going deeper in to see our products. That's what we want, is to get people to move through our website. Okay? So that's, again, we're not going to go into a lot of detail on this, but that gives you a little bit of an idea of where we're headed. Now, right here around the 90 to 100 on average of visitors per day, that's not bad. That's, that's a pretty decent average. In fact, here we've got our average, 97 average daily unique visits over this past week. And at that point, when you've got around that many visitors, then it makes sense to start looking at your statistics a little bit to see, where can I improve, am I converting? And we're not going to look for conversions every week necessarily, hey, I have to have conversions, each day or each week, but over a month or 2 months time, we look at those statistics and see if everything looks as clean as it should, and then we should expect, if we're getting 90 to 100 visitors a day, that we're starting to see sales. But what I want to talk about today is, how do we get to this point? How do we get those visitors? And that starts with, it's not only SEO, but it starts with the SEO work. Okay? So, SEO needs to start, you have to have that understanding. What's our goal? Well, our goal is to get rankings so that we can get traffic. That's our goal. So if we go out and do a search, in fact, let's look at the Baby's Bunker site. So we've got baby cribs, play yards, and bassinets are some of the products that we need to get ranked for. So if we go to the out here to Google and do a search for baby cribs. Now, a keyword phrase like that is pretty broad. That's a general phrase. It's only 2 words. It's going to be difficult to rank for such a phrase like that. That would be like me with my Viper Sharp trying to rank for knife sharpener. Okay? It'd be wonderful if I can get ranked for that, but it's not going to happen easily. It's going to take time before I'll see any rankings for that. So what we might do is look for more directly relevant phrases, more specific phrases, and Google's given us some examples. Baby cribs with changing table, convertible cribs or convertible baby cribs. Those are some more specific phrases that would be easier for us to get ranked for. But let's start with baby cribs and just look down the page here and see who is ranking for that phrase. So next thing I want to do to help you understand optimization and SEO and what it means is let's talk a little bit about where the traffic comes from and what we're seeing. Okay? So one thing to understand is when we are doing a search, and I'm going to, let's see, I want to zoom in on this here. When we look at a search on Google, first understand that Google is the biggest search engine in the world. More than 60% of traffic, when somebody searches for something on the internet, Google has more than 60% of those visitors. They're going through Google. Okay? It's become a household name. In fact, it's such a household name that if you think about it, if somebody tells you to go find something or search for something on the internet, most of the time, at least here in the United States, they don't say, go search for it. What do they say? Google it, right? I'm sure you've heard that, well, Google it or go Google it. It has become, Google has become a replacement for the word search. That's how powerful they are. And so keep that in mind, that most traffic is going to come through Google. That means that we need to please Google. We need to do what Google wants to see for their algorithm so that they will rank us where we want to be ranked. All right, so that being understood, let's now dissect Google's search page. So we did a search here for baby cribs, and what we see first with the way Google is showing things today, and they've changed this over time. They used to have a list of ads over on the right side, which they don't do anymore. Now they put their Google Shopping ads right up front here. These people are all paying for this privilege of being shown right at the top of Google. If you want to pay Google to be shown up here, you can see right here it says sponsored. Okay, so if we want to pay Google to have our products shown there, we can put our products, upload them into Google's database, and pay to have these ads. So these are all ads called pay-per-click ads. They're showing up here, but they don't get charged unless I click on this. Okay, if I click right there, then Wayfair is going to get charged 60 cents or $1 or whatever they're bidding to be placed up here at the top. They're going to get charged that every time somebody clicks on this. And that is a good way to drive traffic. It's a very valuable way to get your name out there, to get your brand. I have done that with my ViperSharp and run ads like that. And it's a powerful way to drive traffic. However, it's one of those things that when you do it, you have to kind of streamline it a bit before you'll see sales. Okay? So while paid advertising is a fantastic option, it's something that everybody should learn how to do. It's expensive, it's costly, and there's a fee to it in order to do that. And generally, when you start doing paid advertising, you're looking at needing to put in a budget of, I would say, a few $100s a month for at least 2 or 3 months, just to streamline, to get it to the point where you're seeing what is working. Okay, so you're going to be spending maybe $300 or $400 a month on advertising just to refine your ads, and depending on how good you do at that, how much help you have with it from our webinars and your coach, and there's so many variances or variables there. It may take a few months before you've really dialed it in to say, okay, I can say these things and people will buy, and I can get enough buys, purchases and orders that it will justify paying for the advertisements. So if I'm spending $300 a month, I'm selling $1,500 and making $350 or $400 or whatever, right? We want to be profitable. So it's going to take time to do that. Google also shows a few ads underneath the sponsored searches. So we see right here it says ad on this Walmart. So Walmart is paying for that placement, and JCPenney is paying for a placement here. And so underneath that is where we look for the SEO work, the optimized pages. So Target, they're a big company. They've got a lot of money behind it. They've been around a long time. They are the #1 position for what we call organic search results. They are the first company that Google thinks is most relevant to the term baby cribs. Okay? They have gained that placement. Toys R Us is #2 in this placement. Wayfair is #3. Bye Bye Baby, a little less known name perhaps, is #4. And then Walmart's down here with #5. PotteryBarnKids.com with #6. BambiBaby.com is #7. Now, this is where we might be able to compete with something like this. This, Bambi Baby, for me, that's a new name. I've never heard of that before. Okay, so I don't know if you have, but that's a new name for me. It's not one of the big guys. It's not a Walmart. It's not a Target. It's not a Pottery Barn. They may be up and coming. Whatever they've done a dang good job to get placed in the top 10 on the first page of Google for the phrase baby cribs. Okay? And the fact that they're beating out Burlington Coat Factory and Overstock.com and Kmart, again, these are big names, right? That's pretty good. Whatever they're doing, they've done it right. Okay? All right, so let's look at some other details I wanted to show here. So we've got 10 organic placements basically on this first page of Google. That's what we call a SERP. A SERP is S-E-R-P, SERP. Okay, SERP stands for Search Engine Results Placement, or some people call it Search Engine Results Pages. But basically, these are the SERPs, Search Engine Results Placement right here, placement number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and so on. Okay, so look at this right here. Every time we do a search, Google's going to say, well, we found about 64,900,000 results related to the word, and this is for baby cribs, not for SERP, related to baby cribs, 64,900,000 results. And out of that, this Bambi baby is number 7. That's pretty good out of 64 million, right? And that's what we want to do, is we want to get to the point where we are ranking in the top 10 for different keyword phrases. Well, as I said before, baby cribs is a little bit broad. That's going to be a little bit of a difficult phrase to rank for. So we need to do, shoot for phrases more like, well, maybe baby cribs with changing table. That's a little more specific phrase, right? And so we can look down here and see who are the competition, the competing pages for that. Notice we only have these sponsored results. We don't have any other ads. So we go straight into the organic search results. Toys R Us, Target, Wayfair, Bye Bye Baby. We see some of the same names there. Amazon, Walmart, Bed Bath & Beyond, JCPenney, Sears. Notice we do not have that Bambi Baby showing up here. But also notice down here, Google is showing us other possible search results. So all of these are keyword search phrases that potential customers have typed in to find something like what we are advertising here. Okay? So if we want to start finding these phrases, find out, that's what we need to find is, what are people typing in when they want to find my product? We want to get at that list of those phrases. What are they using to find my product? What are they typing? And out of that list of thousands of phrases that people are typing in related to baby cribs, which of those crib phrases might I be able to compete with? Because baby crib is going to be a difficult one, but maybe there's some others, right? All right, so this is the intro. This is now getting into where we start with SEO and search engine optimization. Where do we find those phrases? And that starts over here at the Google Adwords keyword tool. Okay, so we need to log into this account in order to get access to that tool, and they've limited that access nowadays. So to do that, we come over here and click sign in. Now, if I've done any work for your site, I've already done this and set up your account for you. So all you would have to do is come in and enter your password, and you've got the account set up. Okay. In my keyword research webinars, where I detail how to get this started, the very first one talks about going in and beginning this research and shows you how to set up the account if needed. Okay. So they've changed this over the years. What we have now is a page that will say all campaigns up at the top. It'll give you an overview, because this is Google's paid advertising platform. This is where we would go to pay for those ads to show up on the first page of Google. Okay. But over on the right-hand side is all we're interested in right now. We don't have to run ads to get access to some of that data. We have these 3 little dots up here on the right side. And if we click on that, it opens up, and we've got all of these options here, starting from planning on the far left, shared library, bulk actions, measurement, setup, all of these different things. Well, the only thing we want is over on that right side under planning, keyword planner, and they've moved it. This is even within the last couple of weeks they've updated this, and they moved it and changed things a little bit. But that's what we're looking for, is the keyword planner. Years ago they used to call it the keyword tool, and then they changed it to keyword planner. So we can come in here and click on keyword planner, and I'm going to talk a little bit about keyword research here, and then I'm going to go back to the website and talk about how we implement that in the site. Okay. So we're in the keyword planner. We've talked about placements on the search engines and how we want to gain those placements. I've explained SEO means search engine optimization. A lot of stuff we've covered, right? And so we're going deeper into the rabbit hole here. So what we want in this keyword planner, once we get to this page, and this page hasn't changed much for a couple of years now at least, but who knows when they might change it. But what we want is we want to find new keywords and get search volume data. The search volume data is going to tell us how often are the specific phrases that we find searched, how many people are using those phrases each month. Okay? So that's, if we want to find keyword phrases to get ranked for, well, that's helpful information to have to know how many people are searching it, right? We kind of need to know that data. And so it's fortunate that Google still offers some of that data free, because they don't have to. I mean, this is their business. This is not, this is not something where we have to expect that they're going to give this free. They're a business. Google is a big business, a big company, and they don't have to offer this free. So that's important to recognize when they start changing things. Just recognize that, hey, they're a business. They can do what they want. Unfortunately, they're a huge business. They kind of have just about a monopoly on search and all of that data. So every time you go to Google and you type something into search, they're recording that data for their database and to share with us here, anybody who wants that marketing information. But they're also recording it based on you, your name, your email, your phone number, your address, your computer address. They're getting all that data. So that way they can streamline searches to what you have searched for. Okay? And so if you ever wonder when you're looking on the internet, maybe going to, we start here with searching for baby cribs, and then maybe we go to Facebook or something, and on Facebook all of a sudden we see a baby crib that we've been looking at. And you think, whoa, how did they know, right? Well, they do. They know what you're looking at because Facebook buys that data from Google saying that you've been searching for this, and so together they show you advertisements based on your search activity. And so that's how that search works. Well, we want to get our site shown in these different places, and so that's today's discussion, is how do we, the intro to that. All right, so let's go do a search. We're going to go in here and we're going to so what I clicked on was search for new keywords using a phrase, website, or category. And what we're going to do is just put in what I call seed phrases. We're not going to put in our website page or landing page. We're not going to put in a product category. We're just going to come in here and we're going to search for specific phrases, because here we can put a list of seed phrases. So I can put in baby cribs. I can put in let's see if I can spell it, convertible baby cribs. Changing baby cribs. And we enter down one. We either enter down or put a comma between them so that Google recognizes the different phrases. Okay. We could put in colors. Some people might search for white baby cribs. Some people might search for brown baby cribs, maybe baby bassinet, wood baby cribs. So these are some seed phrases that we're going to throw in to Google and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Show me similar keyword phrases. Okay. And so that's what we're telling Google right here is this is what I'm looking for. Now go pull some that are similar to this. And so we can come down here now and click on this blue Get Ideas button, and that changes our page. Now we see our list of products or services and a Get Ideas button over here, and our list of phrases. And the first one's in the list. The first thing it's going to do in this top section is it's going to show us details related to the actual phrases that we put in. Now it's going to take the exact words that we put in here and go out and search and say, okay, how many times were these exact words searched for? Okay, that's what it's doing for us here. And so that's why we see right here with changing baby cribs, nobody searches for that, or not enough for them to record it. Okay, if we were to put changing table baby cribs, we might have some searches in there. So we could go in here and say, okay, right here, change that to changing table baby cribs, and we click Get Ideas. It reloads the data for us, and now we still don't have, okay, so they're not searching for that. So that phrase is not searched for, but all of these are. Now here's where things have changed recently. In the past, I don't know, two years maybe it's been 3. Time flies for me, but in the past they used to give us a more specific number, an estimate here. Instead of saying 100,000 to 1 million, you know, somewhere in that range, they might have said 563,421 searches per month. And that was an estimate based on the last 12 months of searches that they had. Okay? The way they're doing things now is they're only going to give you this range unless you pay to run ads. If you pay to have some campaigns running and you have active campaigns, then they'll show you more specific data and give you a more specific number. But this is still pretty good. This, you know, right here we can see white baby cribs is searched for somewhere between 1,000 to 10,000 times. So it's in the thousands. You know, that's pretty good. We can see this one here, baby cribs, 100,000 or more searches per month. That's a high search volume and, of course, high competition. The higher the search volume, the higher the competition generally. Okay? All right, so as we scroll down here below this top section, we'll see here's a bunch of other keywords that Google has put in saying, hey, we think these might be relevant to what you're searching for. And if you look right up here at the top in these buttons, we've got columns, download, and add all. This is if we wanted to add it to a campaign or an ad group or something. So we don't need that, but we can see that Google has 636 keyword phrases available for us. So there's quite a bit of data that might be relevant to what we're searching for. So what we want to do is download that. So we would come in here and click download. And if you click this box, destination, save to Google Drive, well, that's going to put it in your Google account. So you can come in here to your Gmail, and up at the top right here, you click on this little apps button and go to Drive, and that will open up your Google Drive account. And you can see this is where I've already downloaded some keyword data for you from the Keyword Planner. Okay. And then you can open these from here. If we have a new one here that we click Save to Google Drive, it's going to add that. As soon as I click Download, it will now add that to my Google Drive account and give me the chance to open it right here. So I'll go ahead and open that file. And then if I go back and look at my Google Drive, we can see that now there are 3 spreadsheets in there instead of just 2. Okay. Now, the next thing we might want to do with this data, this is where I get into a lot of detail on this in the keyword research webinars, so I'm not going to mess with this, go into too much detail here. But you can rename it. So if we did a list just for bassinets, just for wood baby cribs, just for some more specific phrases, then we could come in and name that at the front of this. Instead of just being Keyword Planner with a date and time, we could say baby cribs Keyword Planner, right? And so you can name that. In my like I said, in my keyword research webinars, I go into how you can bold this header and freeze that first row, and I talk about doing that to organize all of this data and get rid of the rows that aren't needed, because the only thing we need is the keyword phrase and the average monthly searches. Okay, that's all we need, and of course we would delete anything that has a blank data there. And so that's what we need to do, is start gathering that data. Now that's the initial beginning step to optimizing our site. Now let's go and talk about what we do with that data. Okay, I told you there's a lot to this, right? So that's the trouble. Yeah, see, that's the trouble with optimization and SEO is there's so much groundwork and foundation knowledge you have to have and understand in order to do it right. And so this first half hour here that we've gone through, I've basically, hopefully given you that foundation so you know what we're trying to accomplish. What we're trying to accomplish as far as rankings, what we want to see in our statistics, and then now we're moving into, well, how do we accomplish that? Well, we start with those keywords, but what do we do with those keywords? And so now we're going to get into explaining how to use those on your site and how Google looks at your site. And that's really, I think, one of the big, the next important things to look at is how does Google look at your site? So, and let's, all right, so back to the research that we were doing right here on Google. So if we have this kind of a search going on, well, how does Google decide who to put in spot number one, right? How do they decide who goes there? How do they decide who's second best and third best and fourth? How do they decide the placements for all of these 3 million search results for this keyword phrase? So that's the next important thing to understand. And so one of the most valuable things for you to understand is this is where the personalization comes into play. If we have a website that has product information that is just copied and pasted, we copy the title and paste it in here, we copy the description and paste it in here, if that's all we're doing, well, then Google's looking at that and they say, I've seen all this information before somewhere else. In fact, I've seen it on many other websites, and Amazon.com or Babies R Us or whoever was the original one to come up with that description, that was the first site to have that description. And so Google's going to say, hey, they deserve credit for that content, right? They deserve that credit. They created it. They were first, so they're the ones who get it. Therefore, anybody else who comes on the scene and that's all they're doing is repeating what's already out there, they don't really deserve placement yet, do they? That's the way Google looks at this, is they say they don't deserve to be placed at all if all they're going to do is regurgitate what's already out on the internet. We want people who are adding value to the internet. Again, going back to the idea that Google is a business, right? So if we understand that, and let's analyze that a little bit, what is their business? How does Google make money? Well, ultimately, their business, well, they've got their fingers in a lot of different pies now, but their main business is as a search engine. They are the premier search engine in the world for people to find information, products, helpful tips, whatever they're looking for. Google's the place. And they want to stay in that top position, which means they have to consistently provide good quality content to their customers, their searchers. Okay? So if we understand that from a business standpoint, think about it for you. If you have a favorite store that you go to, if you were to go to that store one day and let's say we enjoy shopping at Walmart because we like their clothing selection. And if we were to go to that store one day and all of the clothing they offered was junk, it was falling apart, and you know, literally on the hanger there, it looked terrible. If they made a change like that, and that's what we saw, would we keep going and buying from them? No, we're not. We're not going to we won't be their customer anymore. Well, that's the way Google looks at this. If they don't provide high quality results and content, then they're going to lose traffic. They're going to lose visitors, and therefore they're going to lose money. Remember, they place all those ads up there. They have people who pay them to be in the advertised placements, and they get money for that. Well, they want good results, because if people decide when they search that they don't like what they're seeing and they don't click, well, then Google's not making money. They don't get paid. And so they have all of these algorithms put into place to make sure that they are providing the best quality results they can. And that's not just for the ads, that's also for the organic or natural placements. They want only the best results to show up. And so they've got these very complicated computer algorithms that are run every time somebody does a search for baby crib, so that they are showing what they think is the best result for baby crib, and they're not showing spammy, junky, garbage sites. Well, guess what? If our site only shows content that's already out there, then they consider us a spammy, junk, garbage site. Okay? So we don't want to be looked at that way, so we have to go in and create new content. We've got to create something that impresses Google, and so that's why we want to make sure that we are creating original, valuable content. Okay, so now we look at this page with our baby crib here that we want to update this page. So number one, we realize we can't use the same content that is just copied and pasted, right? We're going to have to change that because Google doesn't want to see that. Well, we don't have to make up something all brand new. What we could do is take this, and instead of saying the Graco Solano 4-in-1 convertible crib with drawer is the perfect choice for any nursery. Well, let's just reword that. Okay? We could just say the perfect choice for your nursery or any nursery is the Graco Solano 4-in-1 convertible crib that includes a drawer, or with included drawer, or something like that, right? We change the words around. We can use the same words or similar words. We say the same thing, but we totally put it in a different order. That's what we want to do, is we want to say whatever we need to say, but just put it in our own words, make it a little bit different. We don't want to leave any sentence intact. That's the way this should go. When we're optimizing, when we're doing SEO work on our site, we should not have any sentence on any page in our website that is the same on some other website somewhere else. Okay? Now, this is most important for category pages and products. We're not as worried about the terms and conditions and contact pages and all that. You know, all those administrative pages, it's not as big a deal because we're not as worried about rankings on those. Now, ultimately, we would want to make those our own eventually too, but the most important is going to be the category pages themselves, any content on those category pages, and then each product. So what I would suggest is, now that you have the foundation knowledge of what to do, your first step should be to go in and start editing each of the products and changing this content. That is the beginning of SEO work for your site. Now, there's more to it, and some of the other webinars go into that. In fact, I have another webinar where I go into detail about showing this part and how to start changing the text that you'll have as well. But the next side of it is placing keywords in certain places. So I want to talk about that briefly here, since this is an overall intro to optimization. Okay? And this is going to look different depending on what what system we're using, but most of the time, well, anytime you're using, your website, it's going to be Volusion here, and so you'll see what I'm showing on this screen. But I'm going to show a little bit of an example from my website, the ViperSharp site, and with that site I do not use Volusion. For that site I use WordPress, and so that that will look a little bit different, but I'm going to just show some of that so you can see it. Okay, so let's start first within Volusion. So if you edit one of your products, you're going to come into this screen, and this is where you'll have the product name or title there, code, price, and weight details, and then the description. This is what you want to rewrite, and so I did this on this one. I went in and rewrote this, basically using the same words or similar words, but remember we talked about our keyword phrase list, right? So if we go back and look over here at this list, we have these keyword phrases, and we have this other list that I went and researched for keyword phrases related to baby cribs and bassinets and whatnot. So this gives us a bit of data to understand how much competition we have, how much search volume we have, and things like that. And so this is where we get an idea. Now, the competition is done with all-in title research. And so this is why it's so important to go and do the keyword research first, because you really need to have an understanding of what keyword phrases are used and which ones are going to be best to target. Okay? So, and in general, I would say phrases that have less than 10,000 and oftentimes even less than 1,000 searches per month are going to be the easiest for us to rank. So portable bassinet having somewhere between 1,000 to 10,000 searches per month. It's not huge, but there's a decent number of searches. Preferably, we'd like to have phrases that are over 1,000, somewhere in this range here, because we want to have enough traffic. What good does it do us if we're ranked number one for a phrase that only has 10 searches a month? All right? There just aren't enough people searching for it. So we're probably looking at this range here, 1,000 to 10,000 is what we want to see as far as average monthly searches. But we also want to do a little all-in title research. The all-in title is discussed in the keyword research webinars, and that's where we can get an idea of how many people are searching for this. So if we come over here to our search, let's just do baby cribs. So the all-in title, we would go like this and put quotes around our key phrase, and then that tells Google, hey, search for these words together, just like this, everything within quotes. Okay. And then before that, we want to say we've got to tell Google what we want them to search. So that's where we put in all in title, colon, and a space there. So what we're telling them with this phrase is we're saying, this is called computer syntax. This sends a message to Google's computers saying, I want you to look at websites that have this keyword phrase, all of these keyword phrases in their title. So all in title. And this all needs to be together like that, all one word, not separated. So we're telling the Google search engine, hey, anybody, and this is the meta title right here. That's what we're looking at, is the meta title. And I'm going to show you in a minute where we place that in our website. But basically we're saying, hey, Google, how many pages have these two words in this order in their meta title? So we run a search there. And we look at this search result, and Google says, well, about 74,700 are using that keyword phrase. Well, 74,000 is a lot of pages to compete with, right? That's an awful lot of pages. So we might say, well, that's going to be a difficult one. What about white wood baby cribs? Tell me that one, Google. And so we run a search there, and Google says, oh, well, about 10 pages. Oh, okay, well, I can compete with that, right? So that's what we're looking for, is to get an understanding of our competition. And so we need to do that all in title and put those numbers in here. So, in fact, let's take some of these right there. and we put that in between the quotes. With this keyword, those need to have spaces. We don't want those all one word. Only the all in title is one word. We run that search. Oh, look, 3,300. That's not too bad. So that's our all in title number, 3,300. Okay, and then we do that with all of our phrases here. We run this search, and it's important that we do this correctly because there we got 4,770. 4,770. But if we leave off the quotes, if we forget to put the quotations in there, well, then we got 14,000. All of a sudden, the numbers are totally skewed. That's not what, because Google's looking at both of those numbers separately instead of together. So that's why it's important to say, hey, only show me results with this exact keyword. Okay? If we have a space over here, all space in title, and we run a search, then once again, it's going to break the computer, and the computer's not going to know what we're looking for, and it's going to give us different results that aren't correct. Okay? If we don't have this little colon right there and we run a search, same kind of, well, first it's going to say, hey, prove you're not a robot. Too much activity happening on this computer. And you're going to get that sometimes when you do this. Select things that have a storefront. And so they'll verify every once in a while like that because you're doing a lot of searches in a short amount of time. So again, see, the results aren't correct. So we have to have that exactly correct in order to get the right numbers. That's important that we're being consistent with this and that we're doing it right so that the numbers we get in here are accurate. Okay? So generally what I say, if you go to my keyword research webinars, I tell you, hey, do 10 of these and then email them in so that I can check them for you. All right? So if if somebody's watching this video and I'm not your coach, well, you would send it to your coach to verify. But that way we can check that work for you. We can double check the data and make sure you're doing it right. And so if you do 10 of these and I see problems, I'm going to send back and say, no, you're doing something incorrect. Go back and review how you're supposed to do it and make sure you're using Google and not Bing or Yahoo search. Has to be Google. Let's make sure it's happening correctly and do it again. I'd rather tell you go do it again after you've spent 20 minutes doing just 10 searches instead of 3 hours doing 600 searches and then tell you, nope, it's wrong. Do it all over. Right? So do a little bit. Verify you're doing it right. Then once you know, yes, it's being done right, then go back and really do it big. All right, so then we know what our competition is. We know, so that tells us, hey, this keyword phrase would be easier to rank for than this keyword phrase because this one has a little bit more competition. Now, both of these aren't too bad. If it's under 10,000 on the all-in title, that's not bad. But be careful about sticking those numbers in your head. Whenever I try to avoid saying certain numbers because then you get that number 10,000 and you think, oh, if it's over 10,000, I'm not even going to touch it. I'm going to delete it. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You can still rank for those phrases. It's just a little harder. It's going to take more time. That's all the numbers mean. Okay? So keep that in mind. Numbers aren't, it's not cut and dry, hey, this I use, this I don't. These numbers are just to give you an understanding of how hard will it be to rank for this keyword phrase. Okay? All right, so now we know we've got keyword phrases that are important. Well, what keyword phrase are we using here? We're probably using deluxe baby bassinet. Okay? And so that keyword phrase needs to show up multiple times throughout the page. It needs to be in the product name. It needs to be in the description area, 2 or 3 times probably in the description. We've got it here, looks like 3 times. Okay, we don't want it too often. We don't want it in here so much that it doesn't read smooth. Okay, if I were to say, bring baby closer to you with this 2-position Lulago Deluxe Baby Bassinet for those early months and continue to enjoy life's benefits, since the Deluxe Baby Bassinet lowers for when baby gets older. This Deluxe Baby Bassinet, you can see, if I'm repeating that too often, it doesn't sound good, right? So be logical about it. Once you put it in, read through it, make sure it's smooth and that it's there, but it's not uncomfortably there, okay? So we want our keyword phrase in our description. We want it in our product name. This is basically like the title. Like eBay, we told you about keywords in the eBay title. Well, this is our title. But here we have more than just the title that is looked at. eBay only looks at the title and the item specifics. They don't look at the description. Google looks at everything. Title, description, and then they go further, and that's where the advanced info comes in. So in the optimization webinars, it teaches you how to go to the advanced info, search engine optimization, and we want that same keyword phrase to show up in our product URL text. We want it in our photo alt text, and we want it in our meta tag title. Okay, the meta tag description is not looked at anymore for search engine results placements. It's not something Google uses to rank you, but it's still a good idea to put something in there, because if you look at search results, let me break this down for you. When we're looking at these natural search results, this blue link is the meta title tag, okay? This black lettering, that's our meta description. And so if we don't put anything in there, Google's just going to pull from our page to fill that content. So that gives us the ability to put something in that potential customers will actually read when they're looking at search results. And then the green lettering here, that's our URL. And so if we have our travel bassinet in our meta title and in our URL, like Target has done here, and in our description, then when people do a search, notice Google's bolding wherever that shows up in the description. So they're going to see it in the title, they're going to see it in the URL, they're going to see it in the description, and they're going to say, that looks relevant to what I want, I'm going to click on that one. Okay? Well, Google's also reading that data. They're looking at all of that information, and they're saying, okay, at the top of the page, the first thing we see is in the URL, they're using Deluxe Baby Bassinet. Then they go down and they look at, they'll probably see the meta title tag next, and they see again, oh, there's that phrase again, Deluxe Baby Bassinet. I think this page is about Deluxe Baby Bassinet. And then they go down the page a little more and they might see the product title. And they say, oh, there it is again, Deluxe Baby Bassinet. Yes, I'm almost sure this page is about Deluxe Baby Bassinet. Now, of course, they're seeing all the other words in the page too, but this one is starting to stand out, right? And then they go on down analyzing the rest of the page, and they see our image, and there's an alt tag, our photo alt text. Well, guess what? That also carries Deluxe Baby Bassinet. So now Google is 100% certain, yes, this page is about Deluxe Baby Bassinet, and then they see it in the description of the page. So they're going from top to bottom of this page, seeing all of this, and that's where they say, okay, this page is definitely about Deluxe Baby Bassinet. The content on this page isn't found anywhere else on the internet. Therefore, I'm going to give this one marks. I'm going to give it more value than all of these other pages that are just duplicating what's already out there. Well, guess what? When we do a search here like this, in fact, if we just do the travel bassinet only, out of these 1,260,000 results, just by updating your content and doing that basic optimization, you're jumping above at least 1 million of these. You're already in the top 100,000 just with obeying those basic rules on your page. And oftentimes, you're going to jump right into the top 100 or 200. Unfortunately, that's not good enough because nobody goes that deep on search engines. However, I want you to just keep that in mind. When you're seeing 1 million results here, most of those are garbage. The only ones that matter are these top results. So what we've discussed here today is the beginnings of optimization. And hopefully, I've clarified what it means, how we do it, so you can get started with it.